and Agent Goodwin could use someone with experience out there to watch her back.
Hello Internet, welcome to Games Done Wrongish. Today we will be taking a look at the second set of Games with Gold titles for November 2017. The titles are Tales from the Borderlands and Deadfall Adventures. The Tales games have been doing the rounds now for a number of years. These started with the Walking Dead franchise and have since branched out into multiple genres and stories. They all follow the same sort of gameplay. You play as one or more characters in a predefined story. You are told at the start of every Telltale game of this type that your choices will have consequences and the story will be tailored to your responses. However, that does not always seem to be that impactful on the main overarching story. Sure, some decisions can get an NPC killed or written out of the rest of the game, but there is usually another NPC to take their place and make up the dialogue when this happens. Tales of the Borderlands comprises of a number of small tales narrated by a number of different characters that you play as, each with their own take or tale on recent events. You start out playing as the company man Reese. At the start of the game, Reese is walking towards his boss's office as he has been told that he is about to receive a promotion. This quickly goes south as he finds a rival employee named Vasquez in his boss's chair. The rival has thrown Reese's boss out of an airlock and taken over his position in the company. He then goes on to advise Reese that his promotion is now going to be assistant vice janitor. This does not go down well. Whilst in the office receiving this news, Reese overhears Vasquez arranging a deal to purchase a vault key on Pandora and decides to intercept the deal to try and ruin Vasquez's career. Vault keys and the planet Pandora will be instantly familiar to those that have played any of the original Borderlands games. It is where they are set, and the theme of those games is centered around heroes or pirates trying their best to find a way into lucrative vaults on the planet Pandora. While you do not have to have played any Borderlands game to be able to enjoy this title, there are a few nods to those games, and a bunch of characters from those games such as Handsome Jack are mentioned throughout the game, so having some knowledge can enhance the experience somewhat. While Telltale games are interactive stories for the most parts, they can introduce some combat or quick time events from time to time. These require you to quickly react to the prompts on screen, be that sliding the thumbstick in the direction shown or pressing or tapping one of the face buttons when prompted. A mistimed reaction can result in your character being beaten. However, this does not usually set you back that much and you will generally be able to try the same section again almost instantly. The game is split up into 5 episodes as with most Telltale games. These were released and sold individually, generally over a few months. However, all Games with Gold members get to play all 5 episodes back to back in this collection if they like. Episodes are split into chapters, each chapter having a new location or in this game even a new character to play as. As such, one chapter introduces you to your next playable character, which is the con artist Fiona. As stated, Fiona then has her own take or tale on the recent events leading up to the present in the game. For the achievement hunters out there, this collection has 35 to collect, for a total of 1000 points. Overall, the Telltale games offer a good few hours of light entertainment. They are not going to challenge you as a gamer, however they do often offer some interesting and funny stories. The achievements are always very easy to collect too, as they are generally nothing more than finishing each chapter of the game. If you have played a Telltale game before, you will know exactly what I mean. If you are new to the franchise, then you may as well take a look at them while you can and get this at no extra cost to your gold subscription. I had never heard of Deadfall Adventures before. Apparently it released back on November 15th, 2013. So the Games with Gold release was one day later than its 4th birthday. It is created by Nordic Games. I had heard of them, or at least seen their logo on some of the Darksiders games. I think they played some part in getting the game to work on certain platforms such as the PC. According to Wikipedia, they also played a hand in porting Alan Wake to the PC. The game starts out with a brief cutscene that reminds me very much of the Tomb Raider games, or even more so the Uncharted franchise, if you are familiar with those on the PlayStation. Let's get one thing straight though before we carry on. This is not a Tomb Raider or Uncharted style game. They are third-person action games, whereas this is primarily a first-person shooter. It's not very good in that aspect. The aiming is somewhat off. It feels to me like it was originally made to be a third-person action game but then changed to a first-person shooter at some point. As such, when you aim it feels very slow and then suddenly very fast. So you end up trying to move your sights in the direction of an enemy which is going very slow at first. You move the thumbstick a little more in that direction and then it moves incredibly fast and you spin past your mark. I tried to reduce the sensitivity in the game's option, but that just slows down the initial slow movement without changing the speed in which it speeds up, so you will still get the same effect, only slower initially. As such, I set it back to the way it was and then tried to get used to it. The game is not too difficult, so there is no real need to have twitch-like reflexes, so once you get used to it, you can progress at a reasonable pace. Just like the aforementioned games, you are tasked with entering an ancient tomb at the start of the game to liberate it of its valuables. When you arrive, you find that you were beaten to the punch by some Nazi-type people, kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark and the first Uncharted game. The game has a lot of collectibles to find hidden throughout the tombs. In most games of this nature, these are optional. However, in this game they are pretty much mandatory. Finding treasures is how you upgrade your tools and weapons. You can make your torch shine brighter and last longer, for instance. Which brings me to the other part of combat. Apart from the shooting I went over earlier, you are also confronted by mummified type zombies in the tomb. These cannot be taken down by gunfire alone. In order to defeat these enemies, you must shine your torch at them. This weakens them and then makes them vulnerable to gunfire. As I stated earlier, Nordic Games seem to have had a part in porting Alan Wake over to the PC. This mechanic feels like it was taken directly from that game, as Alan Wake uses something very similar. There are many puzzles and pitfalls in the game. The puzzles again are like the Tomb Raider and Uncharted games. They can range from using mirrors to reflect light at certain objects or statues, to walking in a set path across a tiled floor to prevent setting off traps. Whilst raiding the tomb, you are advised that your father was also a Tomb Raider and he had already mapped out this tomb. You have his journal with you, which allows you to bring it up and find clues to the puzzles. For the achievement hunters out there, the game has 46 to collect for a total of 1000 points. However, one of these, named Gunsmith, is reported to be unobtainable. According to the reports, the achievement requires you to unlock all automatic upgrades for all weapons. However, people have reported that despite unlocking all the weapons and upgrades, the achievement simply does not unlock. This was reported back in 2013, and from what I can tell, it has never been fixed to this day. Overall, this game starts out very well. The opening cutscene has some really good character models, voiceovers and animation for the year it was released. It sets the mood and tone really well and made me eager to see where it went from there. Unfortunately, it fell a little flat in the gameplay department. It's certainly not one of the worst games I have ever played. In fact, if I had nothing else to play right now, I would very likely see it through to its conclusion to find out how it played and felt overall. Sadly, it is at the wrong time of the year and there are way too many games to be playing for this to have its time in the spotlight for me. If any of you watching this video do play the game through in its entirety, please come back and let me know if you feel it gets any better or worse later on, and if you feel I should go back to it at some point in the comments below this video. That wraps up this month's Games with Gold overviews for Games Done Wrongish. Please join me again in December when we will do it all again. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, then give it a thumbs down. But please try to leave some constructive feedback in the comments below this video so that I can try to make more enjoyable content for you in the future. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe by clicking on the icon in the middle of this screen. To learn more about the channel, you can click the What is Games Done Wrongish video on the left, or you can visit my website at www.gamesdonewrongish.com. Thank you, and until the next time, goodbye.